Her triumphs.
I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them.
Her trials.
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story.
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you've joined us for Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. Today's guest is Dolita Shah, a sprinter on the women's track and field team, a fashion and lifestyle influencer, and a content creator and model. The girl does it all. She hails from Grays, United Kingdom. Thank you so much for coming on with me, Dolita.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's going to be so much fun already hearing you talk. I'm like, yes, the British accent. Do you get that a lot here? Are people like, I love your accent so much?
Yeah, no, I do get that a lot, but it's actually super funny. Like, there was a time where it would like make me anxious. Like, we go into like a restaurant as a team and it would be like, other people would like order for me because it's like, I would be like, can I get some water? And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, can my teammates just order for me because they can't understand me? But yeah, no. I feel like back then it was cute, but now it's like, yeah, I'm British.
You're like, I am speaking English.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you don't understand me.
It's
probably a more proper English.
Yeah.
You got to go back home to England a few months ago. What was it like going back home after working so hard in track and field and school, and then you go back home? How was it?
Yeah, no, it's just such a blessing. Like, I feel like so privileged to get to go home and like see my family and my friends, like all the people I grew up with. It's just like a breath of fresh air. Like, I love like the two parts of my life, like, you know, like work and it feels like work and play. And yeah, I feel like it's just a nice balance.
You are now going into your third year at BYU. How would you describe your experience so far on the BYU track and field team?
My experience, I feel like it's been like a roller coaster, like a character building roller coaster. Yeah, like I feel like every year I've just gotten like better, just like as a human being, just like mindset wise, and it's just like it made me grow.
And we'll get to this a little bit later, but not only like are you coming out of high school and you're starting college, but you're jumping to a whole new country and starting college in a whole new culture. We'll get to that a little bit later. You're from Grays, United Kingdom, which is a little under an hour drive from London. What was it like growing up there?
Growing up in Grays was really fun. I grew up there for sure, but I feel like I actually grew up mostly in like deep suburbs, which is like Southend. It's like by the sea and stuff, which is like 2 hours away from London because I went to school there. So it was like an all-girls school in Southend, and so I spent like most of my time there because like the commute from there to home every day was like an hour. So I'd get home every day at like 5, 6, then I go straight to the track and train. So I feel like I didn't spend my prime years in Grays that much. So I feel like I'm like a product of like half Southend and half East London because of like my track was there.
Yeah. So you went to an all-girls school in high school.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I honestly feel like it was the best 5 years of my life. I feel like it's just really made me who I am today. I feel like it was pretty strict because you had to like test in to go there. So, you know, if you mess up, they can very much expel you. They were very strict on that. So I feel like it really instilled like good discipline. And I don't know, I feel like it was just great to like go to school with like girls and stuff. And I don't know, I feel like it was so fun. It was so fun.
You have 3 siblings, is that right?
Yes.
And you are the second youngest.
Yes.
You have a younger brother, 2 older sisters. What was that dynamic like with your siblings growing up?
Okay, so we're all pretty close in age. So like my oldest is 26, and then my other sister's 24, and I'm 22, and then my brother's 21. So all pretty close. Girl. I was the baby girl, and I feel like I still am the baby girl to this day. And so it was really fun. It was like a madhouse, like so many of us, like big car, like because we all had to like ride in it at the same time because we're all like similar ages. Yeah, no, it was real fun.
Your brother is a world powerlifting champion. I thought that was so cool.
He's so cool.
So who's the best athlete in the family?
My brother. He's just so cool. Like he is he's so inspiring. Like, he's so dedicated. Like, everything he does, like, you just see him, like, he'll cook his dinner, like 17 eggs on there. He's like, this protein, this protein. Like, he's insane. Like, he's just amazing.
Have you learned anything from him when it comes to lifting and eating? I mean, or does he try and instill that upon you?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I'll like post in like the weight room, like my weight room lifts, and I'll tag him. I'll be like, is this good? Because he's just, you know, I feel like he has the technique on lock because he's doing such heavy weight. Like, it needs to be like amazing, like form wise, otherwise you will actually hurt something. So yeah, he gives me some tips on form and everything. Like, I make sure he sees my Instagram stories, like, look at my lift. Yeah.
Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
And you said he was the best athlete. Wow, that's very humble of you.
Oh, thanks.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that. You're just an incredible person. You have Nigerian heritage. Your family took a trip to Nigeria when you were young. Do you remember much about that experience?
I was 5 years old. So yeah, no, I remember like the little silly things that like a 5-year-old would like remember.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like lizards being on the wall and be like, what is that? Because like I'm obviously like I grew up in like London, like in the UK. I don't really remember like things with substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything? Well, I mean, 5 years old, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys have family there?
Yeah. So we have so much family there. Like, so like my mom's like mom and like my dad's family, like they all still stayed there. Like, my like aunties and uncles, some of them moved here. So like I moved like to the UK as well, and like kind of like neighboring countries like Ireland and like just in Europe. So I have like cousins that are like kind of near me, but like their like parents and like their uncles and stuff are all stayed there. So I have like loads of family there.
And do you keep in contact with any of these family members?
I feel like now I'm trying to like reach out a little bit more, but I feel like it's just kind of difficult. Like, I'm like beginning a relationship that's like virtual, so it's it just seems like a lot of work.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there's a lot of them as well.
Yeah, no.
Your parents got their British citizenship and moved to London in 1996. What have they taught you from watching them of how to acclimate to a new country and culture? What have you learned from your parents?
What I've learned from my parents is to just do things by the book. And I feel like they've just given me like this huge sense of like determination, grit, like don't give up. Like, things get so difficult here. Like, the international process, it's just so long-winded, and it's just like keep going even though it's long and hard. Yeah.
I love that. And that has to tie into your track and field as well, because long and hard and grit sound like words that a track athlete would need. You started running as an early teenager, you mentioned, in your all-girls school. What drew you to that sport specifically? Well,
so I feel like God just like really lined up my life in these like really amazing ways, because literally I didn't know this before going there, but my school, like my high school was literally like, it was the number one like sports school in the nation, like nationally. Like, it was like, and it's not like an official, like, you know, there's like officials, like this is a sports like institution. It wasn't that. It was, I think it was actually like a science institution, if I remember. But it just ranked number one on sports, and like my mom didn't know that before like sending me there, and like I didn't either. So I don't know, it just I don't know, God just really lined things up like so perfectly for me. It was easy for me to like get into like really high quality like training and stuff. Like our like regular like PE lessons were like pretty high quality. Like, they just had like good facilities and like programs for me to like get better.
Did you like running before you went to high school? Was that something you liked to do, or did you discover that about yourself when you were in high school?
In elementary school, they had like this thing called district sports, where you would run for like the district, and I would just always win. So I just knew I was fast.
Yeah.
And like I was also just strong, like growing up. I don't know. So I just loved like anything to do with strength, and I can show my strength, like pull-up competitions, anything. Like, I loved doing that. So yeah, I just loved like sports.
What other sports did you play? Did you play any other ones growing up?
Yes. I'm so sad I don't get to play this no more, because I'm obviously not in school no more, and they don't have that sport in America. Netball.
Okay.
Netball is like, it's kind of like basketball, like the setup on the court, but obviously the rules are so different, and like only girls play netball. It's such a good sport. Like, I wish I could play it here, but it doesn't even exist here. So I played netball like nationally for my school. Like, we went to nationals. And so I did that alongside track. What else did I do? I think that was pretty much it. I did a little bit of dance, but like nothing too crazy.
So did you ever try basketball when you came to the United States? Since you said it is kind of similar, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't try basketball just because like I got recruited for track. I didn't really have the awareness that you could even like move, divert. Like it's so crazy. Like looking back as a freshman, like I was so clueless, and it would have been so nice to have all this like insight and knowledge of like all the things I'm able to do. I feel like I got robbed of knowledge, but it's fine. Like someone has to start it.
It's so true. You're the pioneer. You need to have those coming after you.
Yeah.
Well, you were really good at track. You were a senior British Championship finalist, a 4-time England schools national champion, and record holder at your high school. How did that fuel your love for running when you kept getting these accolades?
I guess it just kind of made that like mental connection of like, if I try hard enough, things will shake. And so then it just kind of like motivates you to keep trying, and then things will keep shaking like eventually. And I feel like I've very much like input that into like my life today. Like, yeah, no, like it works, you know.
When was it something you found out you wanted to do at the next level? Because in the UK, in the colleges, they don't necessarily have track and field programs, right? So really you had to go international. At what point were you like, this is what I want to do?
I feel like there was a year, I mean, probably at my recruiting class, it just got kind of popular in the UK. Like there were some agencies that began in the UK that like was kind of like sending UK athletes basically to America. And it just sounded like such a cool idea. I honestly I wasn't even that knowledgeable on about it like completely. Like it's so crazy. Like looking back, like when I got recruited and when I actually came here, I didn't know my like Oregons from my LSUs compared to my like Southern Utahs. Like I didn't know what any of that meant. And so like, honestly, like looking back, this is what I'm saying about the thing where I feel like God just like lines my steps, because I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, this sounds cool, let's just go do it.
And so this was a program that you just express interest in. Like, how does that work?
So the recruiting agency, kind of like a modeling agency, they kind of take you and they get all your information, and then they kind of look at you give them schools that you're kind of looking at. And so I kind of gave them like schools that like kind of like the whole world knows, it's like famous schools, because like I didn't really know anything else.
What were some of those schools?
I was like, okay, so I actually really want to go to Ohio State. But my mom was like, oh, Harvard, Princeton, UCLA, because they use it in the movies all the time. That's kind of it. But so they kind of look at the schools that kind of match your like accolades and stuff, and then they kind of have those kind of links because like they've like done the process, so they kind of have their own connections, and so they kind of do that reach out for you.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But in the end, I actually got an Instagram DM from the sprints coach that used to be here, and so that's how we linked up. Like she DM'd me on Instagram, and then we like had a phone call.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll have more from BYU Track and Field's Dolita Shaw when we come back. This is Her Why. Welcome back to Her Why. I'm Lauren McLean, chatting with social media influencer and track and field athlete Dolita Shaw. So Dolita, in April 2020, you announced on X or Twitter that you had given your life to Christ. Why make that announcement on social media?
It's so crazy because looking back, I honestly have no idea. I don't know if you saw like the timestamp on there. It was literally like 4 a.m. I posted it, but I don't have an answer as to why I posted it on Twitter. Like it's so insane. I mean, obviously I am aware that I obviously have a social media presence, and so I feel like it just felt normal like I didn't really like bat an eye. It was like I post everything. Like I post my outfits, I post when I get my hair done. Yeah. So like this is another part that I post. It's pretty normal.
Wow. How do you feel like God has led you to where you are right now?
Like it's so crazy. Like because this summer I feel like I got really close with got closer to my mom, and my mom was telling me this thing about her. Like she feels like she just has like angels around her like her whole life, and they just like guide her, like they just help her life. And I was like, that's so crazy, because I feel the same way. I feel like everything that happens to me, my friends will tell you like Dolita's so lucky, like she just gets like things, just the things that happens to her, like she's just, I'm telling you, like the angels just like orchestrate my life. It's so crazy. So like I'm so grateful.
I love that so much. And I'm sure you've been through hard things in your life, because everybody has.
Yeah.
How do you feel like your faith in Jesus Christ and in God has given you strength during your hard times?
I feel like my faith has given me like such a strength in the way where like I just know like this hardship is not gonna last, because it never has lasted, and like God's never failed me, and he's literally not gonna start now. And so I feel like especially like last season, I feel like me and Adobe had such a hard time last season, and the reason why we was able to get through it is because we was like, this is temporary, like God's not going to start failing us now, like that's just not what he does, it's not what he's about, like just stick through it and the sun will shine very soon, and like it did, and it always does. And so like I feel like just experiencing that and like acknowledging that so many times, it's just like a routine. Yeah.
And you were talking about Adobe Tabubo, who's now transferred to UCF. We did an interview with her last year, and you mentioned she became basically your sister, one of your best friends.
Yeah, she was literally my sister. Like even her like devotion to God was like, she inspired me so like every single day. Like if I had a hard day, she could give me some of her like her wisdom and her good spirits. I feel like God placed us here at the same time. Like we needed each other. Our paths aligning was like so intentional.
I love that so much. Let's rewind just a little bit. Did your faith, so you mentioned BYU, one of BYU's track and field coaches, reached out to you. She DM'd you.
Right.
And asked you if you'd be interested in BYU. Did you have, we're just speaking of faith here, did you have any idea that it was a Christian university?
Do you know what? I feel like she did mention it, but I just didn't like understand. Like I just thought, like a regular Christian institution. Yeah, cool. Because prior to coming here, I've never heard of like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That wasn't the thing I was focused on. I was just like a collegiate system, US, D1, like, so I think it kind of like went in one ear out the other.
Yeah. Because you were telling me, you're like, I wouldn't know the difference between Wyoming from Harvard, from SUU. And so you're like, okay, they're offering me an opportunity here. I'm going to take it.
Yes.
Is that what it was like?
That's exactly what it was like. Like looking back, and now today I have so much knowledge of like what it means to go to LSU compared to somewhere else, like just like a smaller D1. And so I don't know, it's just so weird to look back and think I was just like this like naive little like British girl just wants to like go to America for literally the first time ever. I was good with whatever.
Is it weird looking back at yourself how you thought then, and now you're like, I am at one of the best track and field universities in the country? Is that weird that you ended up here?
Yes. No, it just takes me back to God orders my steps. Like I had no idea what I was coming into. Like I don't feel like I did this. Like I feel like God conspired. He took all his angels and they sat down around a table like this and they like worked up a plan. Some of my people are like, how did you end up there? I'm like, I literally don't know. Like God.
You mentioned that you hadn't even been to the United States prior to coming to BYU. How did you feel when you finally made that decision? Like, yep, I'm going to the United States. We're doing this.
I was so like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. At the time, I was like pretty seriously dating someone from London. And so that was probably my hardest thing. Like, oh, like I don't want to leave him.
Yeah.
But I'm not really a person that's kind of like attached to like my family. And like, I don't like, so like obviously I love them, but like I'm good when I'm far away, And so I was pretty much good to go. I was like, I'll see you soon. Apart from like, the guy I was dating. So like, I feel like it was pretty smooth. I just felt like God's not going to fail me.
Yeah.
And also like, if it sucks that bad, like there's always flight tickets. I don't know.
No, absolutely. I love that perspective. So then you arrive in Provo, Utah, which is a culture within a culture, right? It is an interesting place.
Right.
And you coming from a different country, a different cultural background, what was the adjustment like when you first arrived at BYU?
I think it was just so much to take in, because it's like, is this Utah? Or is this Provo? Or is this America? Like, I'm like, it's just like new, like on steroids, like just new. It's just so new. I don't know. Like, I just feel like the way I am, I'm just so adaptable. And like I said, I went to South End, which was like the deep suburbs. Like, I feel like I had to adapt at that young age, and like doing that for like 5-7 years, I feel like I've kind of done that before. Like, you know, there's new experiences, new people. And so I feel like it wasn't like absolutely like treacherous for me, but also like the thing I said about the fact that like I was like pretty seriously dating someone, he was like kind of like my anchor to home. So I felt pretty grounded. Like I feel like I'm actually super grateful for him. Like we spoke like every day back then, and it kind of kept things balanced for me, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like
you had a little piece of home while you were so far away.
No, exactly. And so I feel like it worked out pretty well.
So you mentioned that your high school, when that huge adjustment kind of shaped who you are and who you've become. How has BYU, now that you're heading into year 3, shaped kind of who you are right now?
Such a good question. Okay. I feel like it's just like strengthening those like skills of like adaptability and like having an openness and like appreciation for like such different things. I feel like the only way you get that kind of skill is to literally be thrown into new crazy pools, and not a lot of people get that chance and opportunity. So I feel like I'm so open-minded, and I'm only that way because, you know, I've been at places like BYU, and like it's just broadened my perspective in general.
I love that. You do sprints. What would you say is your favorite event?
My favorite event to do is the 200.
Okay.
Yes. I think it's way more up my speed. Like I'm pretty leggy. And so like coming around the bend, like it's just right.
What about to watch?
To watch, I love to watch the 800.
That one's tough.
It's so tough. I feel like it's just so inspiring. Like these girls, and the guys, of course, but the girls, I watch the girls a bit more. I'm not gonna lie. I just feel like you can literally see the grit in their faces, like for such a long time as well. Like it's just like so inspirational.
I love hearing how athletes prepare for their different games or their different meets, because I feel like it's so unique. Some are super superstitious in what they do. How do you prepare for a track meet?
It's so funny because for me personally, I feel like superstition, I can also get superstitious, but like it depends how anxious I am. So like if I'm like, oh, you're a little anxious right now, you need to calm down. I'll like my spikes, I have to tie them to like the perfect tightness, and like that is just like, you're too anxious right now, D, like you need to calm down. But I feel like I used to be pretty like stressed about things like, okay, like I need to have the same breakfast and like, you know, get this amount of sleep and like wear these socks. But I feel like as I've grown up, I've really like experienced so many like instances of like things really not going your way, and so I've kind of like thrown all of that out the window. Like no, like you can perform in like any circumstance. So like now when I like forget like my favorite socks, I'm like, that's fine, now you get an opportunity to do well without them, because you are not tied to these socks. But one thing I need is like my music, like my good spirited music that like keeps me straight.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that for sure.
Yes.
Clearly, whatever you're doing is working. You've set a personal best in the 100 and 200 events while at BYU, plus at the NCAA West preliminary round last year. You guys broke your own school record in the 4x1 with your team, and Adobe Tabuba was one of those teammates.
Yes.
You set another 4x1 school record. What was that moment like for you guys when you realized that you broke BYU's record?
I just feel like it was so, like, we just couldn't believe it. Like we were so shocked, because I feel like we knew we could do that. We've just kind of been not playing around, but like things just weren't working out. Like obviously we wanted it in this certain timing, and God obviously was like, no, it needs to happen at this timing. And so that was hard for us to like be patient for. But I just feel like as a team, we had just been through like just some adversity, like coaches change, team changing, and so it just meant so much to us that we could like get it together and keep our heads on. So
obviously Adobe transferred, and so what's the team going to look like this year, that 4x1 squad, as you head into the next track and field season?
So we have like my current coach now, Kyle, he recruited like such fast girls. So I feel like now it's going to be like, we don't know who's going to be on the team, because there's so much competition. Whereas like I feel like last year it was pretty set, like, you know, who's going to be in there because, you know, but now there's like, it's an enigma. Like there's so many people that could be in there. And so yeah, I'm just excited for it to like unravel, but I want to stay in my sport. I can do like pretty much every sport, but all the sport I've done for like our big BYU meets is third leg. And so
around the corner.
Yes, around the corner. And so I would love to stay in that, but I trust the coach is going to make the best decision at the end of the day.
You and I talked a little bit about this during the break, but Adobe became such a great friend to you, almost like a sister.
Yeah.
What was that like for you when she decided to transfer and you were staying here?
It was some knowledge. Yeah, it was some knowledge. I feel like when I learned of that information, we were still in season, and so it was in my best interest to just like absolutely block it out, like pay no attention to it. We still have a season to focus on, like that's not where I'm putting my attention to, because I don't like to be like super emotional during season. Like I feel like it takes my energy away from like what I want to be focused on, so I just didn't give it attention. And like when I left back to London, she dropped me off at the airport, so it was like an emotional situation back then, like I won't see you for a while. And then coming back, I feel like her absence is like really like loud, because like we had like if I say something, she would ad-lib me and I'd ad-lib her, like, so like her absence is definitely like sometimes like things will happen, I'm like, I wonder how Adobe would react. But I feel like it's like a lot of things in life, it's like it's unfortunate and it's sad, but I feel like she would agree with me on this one, like God has paved like the way, like the situation to be like this, like for a reason, and so like I'm not gonna get mad at his plan. And it sounds like you're both thriving and flourishing in your current positions, and so that's and I love that you are so well adjusted. It just seems like you can kind of handle whatever curveball is thrown your way, and you just make it the best, right? I love it. Let's switch gears a little bit. You have a significant following on all of your social media platforms, including over 83,000 followers on Instagram. That's so many. 9,000 subscribers on YouTube. What inspired you to become a fashion and lifestyle influencer? It's so crazy because I feel like the get up of that was just so fast, like it almost took like no thought, which makes me feel like I just feel like it's just in me. Like I look back to like my childhood and growing up, like fashion was just my mum's thing. Like she made sure we was always dressed like we was like her little Barbie dolls. Like she would dress us up, especially me because I was the baby. She would dress me up, and so I feel like looking like putting like nice things on and like having like just like nice outfits on it's just kind of instilled in me. Like I just love getting dressed up and going out to like nice places and taking pictures, so I feel like it just felt pretty natural, and so I was always doing that. The change was just me like I guess sharing it to the world. And yeah, it just blew up so fast, and like I'm pretty confident as well. So like it wasn't really like a hard thing for me to do. Like I feel like I'm pretty open like with my friends and stuff. So it's just like, okay, let me open up this audience and just see, and then it just worked out.
What are the pros and cons of having so many people follow you and kind of know your day-to-day life?
Yeah, the pros and cons. Well, I feel like this is like half a pro, half a con. I feel like it has forced me to like just like develop such a solid sense of self, because if not like, and this is the con part, if not like the people that are watching you, it can really knock you off balance. Like they'll say things and it could like just like get to your head, and so I feel like it's forced me to like really like strengthen my mind. Like I know who I am regardless of the noise, and so that's something like I love that's happened for me. People will always assume things because you post things, and people will always like things look a certain way, but that's just the way social media is. Like you see things and they aren't always what they are, so you have to deal with people making their own assumptions, which is fine at the end of the day, because I just said like I know who I am, and I know who God thinks I am, and so that's what matters the most to me. The pros are that I never really go shopping for clothes, because like Instagram like it gives me my wardrobe, and
wow.
it's my income as well, and so that's obviously a huge plus as well. And the amount of people I've met, and like just the connections, like I wouldn't have met my coach like that recruited me like if it wasn't for Instagram. And yeah, like probably like the biggest con is like like those fans or whatever, like they will really like sometimes they say some nasty things, and if you internalize it, it can like ruin your day. So
Oh, yeah. You'd have to definitely tune that out. That'd be
1000%.
really, really hard. Did you have this big of a following before coming to the United States?
Yes, I had a pretty big following before coming. Yeah, I think I had about like 50, 60K.
Wow.
Yes.
And it's just gone up since then. That's incredible. So you were majoring in neuroscience. Okay, how do you balance academics with your athletic career and with your career as a social media influencer? Because that's a lot.
It is a lot, honestly. I feel like right now I'm obviously managing because, I'm here today and everything, but I feel like I could definitely manage more. Like, I feel like for my sport, I need to get more sleep, but I feel like I just need to prioritize like study, homework, and then like film content. Like this weekend, I spent so many hours doing content, and then on top of that, I have to do homework, and I want to like go to like the games and stuff and like have my college experience. So yeah, it is a lot. You just need to have a can-do mindset because it very much piles up, and like it has piled up like in like my previous years, like, and like it's so amazing. Like the academic advisors, like they always help me out and they like keep me afloat, and like just my like professors are so amazing as well. They like they just give me mercy, and so I'm so grateful for all of that because like without that kind of help from like everyone else, I probably wouldn't be afloat.
Well, I think you're so incredible. You're doing incredible things. I love that you're here at BYU. We're here with Dolita Shaw, a sprinter on the women's track and field team, a fashion and lifestyle fashion and lifestyle influencer and a content creator and model. Dolita, thank you so much for coming on with me and taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been so fun.
You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.